'Tis hard to say if greater want of skill appear in writing or in judging ill. But of the two less dangerous is the offense to tire our patience than mislead our sense. Some hew in that, but numbers err in this. 10 censure wrong, for one who writes amiss. A fool might once himself alone expose. Now one in verse makes many more in prose. 'Tis with our judgments as our watches. None go just alike, yet each believes his own. In poets, as true genius is but rare, true taste as seldom is the critic's share. Both must alike from heaven derive their light, these born to judge as well as those to write. Let such teach others who themselves excel, and censure freely who have written well. Authors are partial to their wit, 'tis true, but are not critics to their judgment too? Yet if we look more closely, we shall find most have the seeds of judgment in their mind. Nature affords at least a glimmering light. The lines, though touched but faintly, are drawn right. But as the slightest sketch, if justly traced, is by ill colouring but the most disgraced, so by false learning is good sense defaced. Some are bewildered in the maze of school, and some made coxcombs. Nature meant but fools. In search of wit, these lose their common sense, and then turn critics in their own defense. Each burns alike. Who can or cannot write, or with a rival's or a eunuch's spite? All fools have still an itching to deride, and fain would be upon the laughing side. If Mavius scribble in Apollo's spite, there are who judge still worse than he can write. Some have at first for wits, then poets past, turn critics next, and prove plain fools at last. Some neither can for wits nor critics pass. At heavy mules are neither horse nor ass, those half-learned witlings, numerous in our isle as half-formed insects on the banks of Nile. Unfinished things one knows not what to call, their generation so equivocal. To tell them would 100 tongues require, or one vain wits that might 100 tire. But you who seek to give and merit fame, and justly bear a critic's noble name, be sure yourself and your own reach to know how far your genius, taste, and learning go. Launch not behind your depth, but be discreet, and mark that point where sense and dullness meet. Nature to all things fixed the limits fit, and wisely curbed proud man's pretending wit. As on the land, while here the ocean gains, in other parts it leaves wide sandy plains. Thus in the soul, while memory prevails, the solid power of understanding fails. Where beams of warm imagination play, the memory's soft figures melt away. Our one science only will one genius fit, so vast is art, so narrow human wit. not only bounded to peculiar arts, but often those confined to single parts. Like kings, we lose the conquest gained before, by vain ambition still to make them more. Each might his several province well command, would all but stoop to what they understand. First follow nature and your judgment frame by her just standard, which is still the same, unerring nature, still divinely bright, one clear, unchanging, and universal life. Life, force, and beauty must to all impart at once the source and end and test of art. Art from which that fund each just supply provides, works without show and without pomp, presides. In some fair body, thus the informing soul with spirits feed with vigor, fills the whole. Each motion guides and every nerve sustains itself unseen, but in the effects remain. So to whom heaven in wit has been profuse, want as much more to turn it to its use. For wit and judgment often are at strife, though meant each other's aid, like man and wife. 'Tis more to guide than spur the muse's steed, restrain his fury than provoke his speed. The winged courser, like a generous horse, shows most true mettle when you check his course.